Hey, Brian.
Hey, how's it going?
Good.
So, great presentation. You left me with enough things that I want to respond to that if I did, we would be here all night. So I'll just narrow it down.
Brian's the head of the Secular Student Alliance, so there you go. We had dinner, so
yeah.
Say hi to Brian. There you go.
Hey, SSA.
Hey, Brian. Go ahead.
So yeah, there's just a couple points I want to, I guess, focus on that really stood out to me. So you put a lot of emphasis on the embarrassing details.
Yeah.
So I have a couple points that I just want to list out real quick and then just get your response to.
Sure.
There's a number of examples in ancient mythology that of embarrassing details. Like for example, in the account of Hercules, he has a fit of rage and kills his family. In the writings of Homer, well, not really writings, but in the works of Homer. Odysseus's men, his soldiers, are often presented as a bunch of bumbling idiots who get him in trouble. And then, of course, Josephus uses women as source material when he's writing the Jewish war, like in his account of Gamala, for example. And so I'm just wondering if we know that an ancient writer who lived in Jerusalem, or at least in Israel around the time of Jesus, who was a respected historian, used women, then doesn't that mean that women occasionally were trusted as historical sources? And then the presence of embarrassing details of characters and heroes in, like, for example, Greek mythology, doesn't that kind of...
Well, yeah, when you're talking about mythology, or just like a novel, yeah, you're going to have a lot of embarrassing details. That's what it's about. It's about making it more interesting if it's a novel.
So then my question is, how does that serve as a standard for what's historically accurate, if it also occurs in mythology?
Well, because the embarrassing detail argument doesn't stand alone. It stands with all the other E's that I put up there, okay? Well, which shows that they're not writing mythology. They're writing what they believe to be true, and then they go and die for it.
Right, so I understand that you can build a case for the resurrection, or you can build a case for the historical reliability of the New Testament Gospels.
Yeah.
On the basis of these other criteria, but then the embarrassing detail kind of falls away, doesn't it? Because it occurs in other mythology. That wasn't historical.
Well, if it was mythology, but see, we know that Hercules or whatever you mentioned is mythology. We know that. This is being put forth as true, and these are historical characters, which, by the way, in our book, I Don't Have Enough Faith to Be an Atheist, which I know you have, in chapter 10, I think it is, maybe 9, we list more than 30 historical characters in the New Testament documents that are also in secular sources and or archaeology. So this is a story about real life. It's not Homer, or it's not Hercules, it's not mythology. This is put forth as being true, and then there's other evidence that it's true. As you know, being an archaeologist or somebody interested in archaeology, you know there's archaeological evidence for some of these things.
Right, but the existence, being able to verify the historical existence of a person doesn't necessarily mean that you've verified every account of every detail of their life.
You can't verify everything in the New Testament or the Old Testament. You can. But when you get enough evidence to suggest that they're telling the truth, you can take the rest of that and go, well, if they're telling the truth here, they're probably telling the truth here.